Hello, welcome or welcome back to Bookeemonsters. My name is PK. It is Monday again. It is Monday, January the 12th. We're here to look at the new releases that are published this week in cozy mysteries and crime fiction and thrillers. Hope you had a good weekend. I just realized my glasses are disgustingly not clean. Let me take care of that. I had a pretty good weekend. Nothing spectacular. Elijah says, hi, hello, good morning. And Amy says, hi, Elijah, I hope you have a good day today. Well, back at you, baby. We wish you that as well. I need to be able to see to read. So quick announcements. I don't have any sprints tonight. Our next sprints are tomorrow night, Tuesday night, at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, which is 6 p.m. my time. I get here as quickly as I can after work. And Amy says, good morning back. All righty, we are getting back to normal-ish. Publishing. So we will have all three shows this week. All right, let's go. All right, first up, historical mystery. If you are participating in the Midwinter Hist Mist, this is another good series. This is called Tears for the Forsaken by Cara Devlin, 5th in the Spencer and Reed series. That's one thing about Kindle Unlimited. They publish more quickly than traditional. After Leo and Jasper are summoned to the reading of a last will and testament for a woman they do not know, they are stunned to receive not only a joint bequest, but also a bidding from the grave to find out if the woman's young son fell to his death a dozen years ago, or if he was, as she always suspected, pushed. Faced with hostility from the grieving family, Leo and Jasper launch an unusual investigation, placing the morgue assistant and the detective inspector on equal footing for the first time. It's a thrilling change after their budding relationship had been on pause for months while Jasper handled a case in Liverpool. But when a new murder complicates things and Leo takes on a separate private inquiry, they discover working together is more challenging than either of them anticipated. As Leo and Jasper untangle a web of family secrets, they unearth a vile truth connecting two deaths separated by a decade, a truth the killer will stop at nothing to bury once and for all. Leo is a female and is a morgue assistant, which was unusual, to say the least, for females of the time. And next up, A Deadly Clue by Victoria Gilbert, 3rd in the Hunter and Clue mysteries. I have read the first one. It is a cute cozy. Cameron Clue and Jane Hunter, lovers of all things bookish, are slowly cataloging Cam's private collection of first edition books acquired from the deceased patriarch of the wealthy Stewart family. When Jane finds a note from Kimberly Stewart Ward, one of the daughters of the Stewart patriarch who supposedly committed suicide, she discovers someone was actually targeting her with the intention of killing her. Jane and Cam decide to look into the supposedly closed case, and their investigation becomes urgent when another member of the Stewart family is found dead from a drug overdose. The victim's friends claim he'd been clean and sober for years and refused to accept the cause of death. Believing both cases to be connected, Jane and Cam are determined to solve them before any other direct heirs of the family are targeted. And I'm gonna keep the sound on but pop off for a minute because Keo wants in. Hang on a second. All right. Sorry about that. Okay, next. Hello. Yeah, hi. Wiped Out by Giselle Loomis, 6th in the Beach City Cozy Mysteries. Zachary Patterson discovers a surfing buddy's body weeks before a big local surfing competition. Patricia Garrett and Shirley Martinez vowed they'd never get involved in another murder investigation ever again. After being held hostage at gunpoint, they'd lost their zest for solving homicides. They promised Detective Byron Garrett that they would no longer interfere. Besides, they have another mystery to solve. Plum trees are disappearing from the yards of Beach City residents. When one of Pat's trees is taken from her front yard in the middle of the night, Pat enlists Shirley's help to figure out how and why the trees are going missing. Will Pat and Shirley keep their promise and refrain from interfering with the murder investigation? Will danger ensue as a result of the theft of the plum trees? Will justice be served? Murder Charmed by Kat McGee, 9th in the Witching Hour Ghost Hunters Mysteries. The Witching Hour Ghost Hunters crew has come to the derelict Heritage Hospital for their most ambitious investigation yet. But for witch and psychic medium Marna Langley, this case is personal. The hospital's most notorious spirit is her long-lost great-aunt, a no-nonsense nurse from the 1950s, with a tongue sharp enough to be a surgical tool. When the ghost decides to piggyback in Marna's consciousness, Marna finds herself armed with a spectral partner offering unsolicited medical advice, wry commentary, and clues to a darkness that has plagued their family for generations. Lil, Mama's ever-dramatic feline familiar, is not amused, finding herself in a turf war for the title of Marna's sassiest supernatural sidekick. Meanwhile, Royce Davenport must navigate a relationship that now includes a ghostly chaperone, all while trying to protect Marna from a hospital that seems actively hostile. The chilling corridors and shadowy operating theaters are hiding more than just memories. They're hiding a crime. When a fresh body is discovered in the abandoned morgue, it becomes clear that the hospital's secrets are still worth killing for. The initial ghost's cryptic warnings about a decades-old injustice suddenly connects to a modern-day murderer, one who will stop at nothing to ensure Heritage Hospital never gives up its dead. And it says this is the final thrilling investigation. And a row one. The Berlin Murders by Fiona Vetch-Smith. 5th in the Miss Clara Vale Mysteries. September 1930. Fearless detective Miss Clara Vale is bound for Berlin, but this trip is all about la mode, not murder. Clara is set to walk the runway of Berlin at Berlin Fashion Week as a favor to her designer friend Juju, who with her assistant Bella in tow. Elections loom in Germany, and among Juju's Jewish friends, the Spieglers, all the talk is of the National Socialists. But trouble brews closer to home when a shocking murder at their clothing factory points the finger at the couple's brilliant young son. With the victim, an old friend of the fashion crew, emotions run high, and Clara quickly joins the investigation, setting out to untangle Nazi conspiracies and nasty colleagues. To complicate matters, Clara's old flame, Larry Winter, is in town, and it seems he may name no more than he is letting on. When a second body turns up, pressure mounts. Amidst the dark glamour of 1930s Berlin, on the eve of the Third Reich, can Clara find the real killer and protect those around her? From silks to secrets, peplums to poison, this will be a fashion week like no other. A Lyrical Woman by Sarah F. Knoll, 14th in the Tabitha and Wolfe Historical Mystery Series. Confined to bed after a health scare, a very pregnant Tabitha must lend her sharp mind from afar, guiding Wolf and their new friend, the indomitable American heiress Isabella, through a maze of coded messages, suspicious business dealings, and diplomatic murders whispers. The trio must tread carefully as rumors swirl of anarchist spies and scandal within the highest circles. One wrong move could spark an international incident. They must act quickly but discreetly, mindful of their reputations and of the trust placed in them by their sovereign. Ghost Lies and Alibis by Deanna Drake, second in the Laguna Bay Midlife Witch Cozy Mysteries. Boo Boudreaux thought running the Halloween boutique in the quirky coastal town of Laguna Bay was plenty of excitement for one midlife witch. But when a nosy reporter turns up dead and her restless spirit refuses to move on, Boo finds herself caught up in long-buried secrets, a fiery tragedy, and a powerful family desperate to keep the past hidden. With her sassy magical cat Kepi at her side and a secret supernatural community watching from the shadows, Boo dives into a paranormal mystery that tests her wit, her heart, and her courage. Bonus includes a recipe inspired by the book. Oop. The Desert Shadow's Curse by Cheryl Fraser. Fourth in the Walker and Chow Psychic Cozy Mysteries. Archaeologist Dr. Cranston Underhill has built his career on digging past superstition to uncover the truth behind old ruins and legends. So when locals warn him to stay away from the ancient grounds once inhabited by the Hakakoans, he scoffs. Shadows roaming the desert? Myths meant to frighten children. He's determined to prove the stories false, until he collapses without warning. Now unconscious and fighting a baffling illness that defies medical explanation, Dr. Underhill has only one hope of being heard. Genevieve Walker, a psychic empath who can communicate with a person's spirit when the body cannot speak. What Genevieve experiences in a visionary dream is unsettling. Impressions of a shadowed presence standing behind the archaeologist chanting. Rising terror envelops him as delirium takes over. Then the doctor's world fades into unconsciousness. The myth in the heat-hazed deserts suddenly feels far too real as Genevieve awakens from the terrifying dream. Detective Brunner Chow, ever skeptical of anything resembling woo-woo nonsense, has no choice but to follow the leads Genevieve uncovers. And as the suspect list grows from passionate protesters to scholarly rivals, so do the unexpected mishaps, awkward run-ins, and laugh-out-loud moments that only Walker and Chow could stumble into. There's truth buried in the desert, and someone or something wants the land left alone. End of that row. Just Desserts and Murder by Lucinda Race, first in the Little Bakery Cozy Mystery Series. Temperance Matthews thought opening her dream bakery in Oak Hollow with her mini dachshund Hank at her heels would be a sweet start to her new life. Instead, her shop goes up in flames, and a body is found among the ashes. When her quiet assistant Louise shows up bruised with twigs in her hair and missing a shoe, Temperance's data analysis skills from her FBI days suddenly feel like the only hope of untangling the mystery. But the plot thickens. Jonah, the bakery's former owner, is stabbed while trying to reach Temperance. The frosting on the cake, Louise's boyfriend is the victim of the fire. Surveillance footage shows him entering through a locked back door, yet only 3 keys exist, and Louise doesn't have one. With threats mounting and the police closing in on a suspect, Temperance must follow a trail of half-baked clues before the real culprit turns her cozy little town into a crime scene, and who becomes the next target. It says each book can be read as a standalone. Whispers After Dark by Diane Harmon. 17th in the Clean Sweep Cozy Mysteries. It says 17, but that book says 18. Somebody's count is off. Between planning her wedding to Mike, running her cleaning business, and keeping up with her 2 kids, Jane has her hands full. The last thing she needs is another cold case pulling her back into the shadows of Alma's forgotten past. But when a stranger named Hazel calls late one night, desperate for answers about her brother who vanished 40 years ago, Jane can't turn away. The trail leads back to the Wheeler house, the same eerie Victorian where Jane discovered disturbing Polaroids of missing children hidden under the wall, behind the walls. Now, new evidence surfaces: a box of forgotten toys in the basement, a well-worn Bible belonging to the mysterious Pearl Wheeler, and mounting questions about what really happened during that terrible summer of 1978. Multiple children disappeared without a trace. The town moved on, but someone remembers. As Jane digs deeper, she uncovers a web of secrets the town of Alma has kept buried for decades. Pearl Wheeler, the reclusive woman who once lived in that house, may hold the key, but she is long gone, and those who knew her refuse to talk. Library workers dodge her questions, former residents hang up the phone, and the few who will speak only do so in whispers, as if afraid the past might harm them, etc. Time of Daisy by Patty Larson, 8th in the Daisy Bruce Cozy Mysteries. Daisy realizes that attending a special acrobatic dance performance with Emil Reese is about to turn nasty the second she finds out that his younger sister Sophia is in the audience too. But when one of the performers ends up dead and Sophia's on the list of suspects, Emil asks Daisy to step in and do what she can to save his sister, even if it means pitting her against FBI agent Rowan Mallory and his rival for Daisy's heart. Or is that exactly why Emil asks? ... She has a very specific face. You don't really see. Usually you see sort of model pretty ones. I'll Be Dreaming by Leanne Leeds, 21st in the Owl Star Witch Mysteries. For Witch Astra Arden, newlywed life is almost perfect, a little too perfect. Even her snarky owl familiar, Archie, is getting suspicious. After the chaos of her wedding, Astra is ready for some peace, but instead of mayhem, Forkbridge is facing a wave of blissful departures. One by one, residents are vanishing overnight, leaving behind happy notes about chasing their wildest dreams. It's a mystery with no victims, a crime with no culprit, and a town that's getting emptier by the day. When Astra's own sister is the next to follow a mysterious magical calling, the disappearances hit too close to home. Astra senses an ancient, alluring power at work, and one that doesn't want to hurt anyone. It only wants to grant their every wish forever. Now Astra must solve a case where the only crime is getting everything you ever wanted. A Dangerous Train of Thought by Faith Martin, 3rd in the Val and Arby Mysteries. Yorkshire, 1926. Gentleman ghost hunter Arbuthnot Arby Swift and his old friend Val arrive at Clevesley Manor, looking forward to the promise of a lavish weekend party. The lady of the house, an avid reader of Arby's books, is eager to show him off to her distinguished guests. Amidst the festivities, Arby is also tasked with investigating rumors of a ghost train spitting fire for the 3rd installment of the increasingly popular, to Arby's great surprise, Gentleman's Guide to Ghost Hunting. But when the guests start dying, Arby instead finds himself thrust in the middle of a murder investigation. With time running out, will he and Val be able to uncover the truth? And I think we might have time for one more. The Chateau Murder by Greg Moss, 2nd in the French Village Mystery. Zoe Pascal has settled into her new life in the picturesque village of St. Catherine, running her beloved bookshop with her new companion, Russell the dog. When an old friend invites Zoe to join her family at Chateau Palot for the holidays, Zoe heads off into the French countryside to the grand yet slightly dilapidated castle. But there's a frosty atmosphere at the chateau, and when the butler is found dead, Zoe is forced to ask, was this an accident, or is there a murder in the grounds? Soon Zoe uncovers that everyone staying at the chateau has a motive for murder. Can she uncover the truth before they strike again? All right, we have 4 left for Friday. Everybody remember where we parked? All right, hope you have a good Monday. Thank you so much. Why am I down here? Thank you so much for watching. On Wednesday, we'll look at the crime fiction and thrillers, the darker side of mysteries. And then on Friday, we'll do a wrap-up of anything that we didn't get to today and on Wednesday. So, again, I don't have any sprints tonight. Our next sprints are on Tuesday night, tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern. We do every Tuesday and Thursday evening and Saturday afternoons. So, please, please be safe out there. Read good books, and as the banner says, don't be a bookworm, be a bookie monster. Nom nom. Have a good day and God bless.